Good evening and good morning to all who have joined today to listen and participate in a very important leadership talk organized by Partha Academy Leadership at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. On my personal behalf and on behalf of the Academy, in the capacity as a chairman, I welcome you all. To give a very brief overview about the Academy, it is of its first kind in IT system, established in 2021 with a vision to inculcate leadership qualities, or I would rather say to that it is a vision to augment an individual personality traits towards betterment of society in large for a harmonious world. With this aim, the Academy had recently started monthly international leadership lecture series, and we are glad and humbled to have received the blessings from several eminent personalities whose leadership skills have transformed and made an impact on the society. That includes Mr. Suresh Prabhu, Mr. R. Gopal Krishnan, Dr. Partha Ghosh, Dr. Naresh Trehan, and Mr. Narayan Murthy. And today we have with us Dr. Amarpreet Sawhney, a distinguished alumnus of IIT Delhi, whose inventions in medical technologies have touched millions of people. In today's talk is in conversation style, where Dr. Ghosh and Dr. Sahni will elaborate on various topics and questions moderated by Sri Puran Dangzi, an extremely active personality at this age. You can see him that he is very, very active. It's my honor to introduce him very briefly. Mr. Dang is a distinguished graduate of IITKharagpur and have received the highest honor as a life fellow of IITKharagpur. He founded the very first IIT Alumni Association of the world, now called as an PAN IIT, covering 45 countries. He is the chairman of MIT Heritage of the Arts of South Asia and currently serving as a distinguished professor of practice at Rishi Hood University, Haryana. He has received various prestigious awards and recognition from various organizations. So now I request our youngest, I would say, youngest Sri Puran Dangi to introduce our guest speakers, Dr. Sahni and Dr. Ghosh, and begin the conversation. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shalendra. And once again, good morning, good evening, our friends all over the world. It's my great honor today that two personalities, Dr. Amar Sahni and Dr. Partha Ghosh, are with us to give their wisdom. First of all, I would like to introduce Dr. Amarpreet Sawhney. Dr. Sahni is a distinguished graduate of IIT Delhi and PhD from Houston, Austin, Texas. He founded multiple companies in medical technologies and which went public, and he has some 120 issued and pending patents. He has been bestowed number of awards difficult to count and very high honors from the White House and many other prestigious associations of the world. It is amazing that how much a man can achieve in one life and young life. And it is also my honor to introduce the founder of our academy, Partha Ghosh Academy at IIT Kharagpur. Dr. Partha Ghosh is a world-renowned thought leader, problem solver, educator, futurist, and inspirer of the world. And in business and technology, he has such a high rank. He has delivered about 200 keynote addresses here and there all over the world and is known as the Renaissance man, justifiably so. Dr. Ghosh served the famous company, McKinsey, as an international consultant and partner. He has founded the Partha Ghosh Leadership Academy at IIT Kharagpur campus and has published two monumental books in economics and leadership in technology and business. Dr. Ghosh is a distinguished graduate of IITKharagpur, as has graduate degrees from MIT. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you the topic today is leadership and what lessons we can learn from these two great men. And I would like at this time to explain what is the format. I have questions for Dr. Singh as well as for Dr. Partha Ghosh. First, I will start with, these will be 6 questions. I'll ask them one by one and they will respond. My first question goes to Dr. Amarpreet Sawhney. Dr. Sahni, in the vast unknown domain of science and medical technology, a good leader chooses his path. How did you choose your path? Kindly answer. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Puranji. And by the way, please call me Amar.
Okay.
Be informal. So in choosing the path, I think that is somewhat deliberate and somewhat by accident. So when I graduated from IIT Delhi, I had 3 options before me. One was I had a good job with Hindustan Levers. Second was that I had admissions to all the IIMs, so I could have gone down that path. And then I had the scholarship from University of Texas at Austin. My view was that I didn't want to start working right then. I wanted to explore more academics, and the management admissions, since they were a competitive exam, I felt that I could always come back to it. And I wanted to explore the little bit mystique of the United States, and somebody was paying for it. So I decided to go do my master's. When I went there, I completed my master's, and as I was used to doing, I looked for a job, but I didn't have the necessary paperwork or the authorization. And so consequently could not find a job. So that was a little shocking to me. And in that process, however, I had one of my good mentors, the professor that I was working for. He guided me to go on for a PhD, which was a sort of a seminal move. And there we developed some very unique technologies. And those unique technologies ended up becoming a couple of companies that got started from those. And that's how I went down the path of medical entrepreneurship, because I got introduced through it. So somewhat by accident, somewhat by deliberate choice. So this is sort of how life works, that opportunities present themselves, but you have to recognize the opportunity and maybe leave yourself open to something a little bit unconventional, something with a little bit of risk. No return comes without taking some risk. So that's kind of how I chose my path.
Thank you very much, Amar. Partha Ghosh, now I have a question for you. You have led leaders in more than 24 nations. Where did you draw your strength from, and how have you earned the right to do so? Please answer. 3 minutes.
So first, I want to thank Amar for joining this session, and particularly, I think he has really captured in those 3 minutes what leadership is all about. And I think I hope I can play that role, which will position India, and that's where the Academy of Leadership comes into play, position India to address exactly the problem Amar was talking about, serving the weakest link, being compassionate, being, understanding of nature, and celebrate each and every aspects of Vedic philosophy with the highest amount of humility, not feel proud, humble to serve the world. And that is the role I feel that God wants to ensure that India plays. And I sometimes feel that we have gone so much of adversity since 800 AD till today is because God is perhaps training the country. We're going through the training. And again, I'm building on what I learned from Amar. Sometimes these adverse moments trains in the civilization. And in bigger scheme of things, 1200 years of training perhaps is required. And hopefully the next 12,000 years, India would play the role. And if I could be a humble catalyst, literally, I mean a humble catalyst to that process, I'll be ever thankful to Mother Nature. But that's would be my humble prayers. But again, I am optimist. I think we have started an academy. A lot of people are involved. Young people should get involved. That should drive. Exactly. That is the vision of the academy, to drive new kind of leadership model, to take care of the country first and position the country. I'm talking about the peninsula and the vastness at the top between the Himalayas on the global stage.
Thank you, Partha. This was such a thought-provoking and mind-satisfying and a talk which will remain in our mind for a long time. Both Partha, you and Amar, you are indeed not only leaders, but great thinkers. Both of you have expressed such noble thoughts, practical thoughts, and thoughts which will help humanity and not just material. So, I am glad we have met the time. We have set apart 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. So, I am on time. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a question and answer session. And Dr. Amar and Dr. Partho will answer those questions, and I have 20 minutes max. This question and answer session will be led by our chairman and professor, S.K. Varshney.
Thank you, sir.
Shalendra, please.
Sir.
These questions and answers, questions will be from the audience.
Yes,
we want
yes.
to give them an opportunity to ask questions from Amar and Partho.
Yes, yes. First of all, I'd like to thank Puranji beautifully moderating this wonderful conversation style session. And really, it's great learning for me. I'd like to thank Dr. Amar Sahni ji for wonderful thoughts. Really, it is learning for, let's say, for young generation, for us who like to think on, let's say, from the academic side, to move a little bit from a comfort zone to look into the possibility on entrepreneurship or something like to start up. Really is a great hearing from you, sir. And as usual, Partha, thank you very much for a lot of insights. And I really put up, like, since I've been also in Japan for several years, along, I think, as Lok Singh has been. So I really admit that whatever you said is really correct, and we hit to lot of work has to be done here. So so all the audience, all attendees, I think we have received 3 questions in the chat box. Other than that, if you like to ask questions through the, you can unmute yourself, or like to first request Mr. Lalit Sudanji, if you are there, would like to ask by your unmute yourself, like to ask, or should I read the question?
I'm here.
Sir, please go ahead.
Yes, it was an excellent discussion. Really enjoyed Partha and Amar. It was great discussion, very thoughtful ideas. Now, the question that I had posted was that Amar had a very good idea and a very practical idea, was that if you want to succeed, don't try to address the mountains, go after the hills that you can conquer. So my question to both Amar and to Partha was, for India, what's the first hill that India should address rather than going after mountains? So what would be the first hill, which is a really practical way to move India forward?
I'll take a stab at it. I think the mountain that all of us see, firstly in India, is poverty and poverty alleviation. I think China has done a great job in pulling, close to 400, 500 million people out of poverty. And India still needs to do more in that regard. But it is a large mountain. The question is, how does one go about with poverty alleviation at such a massive scale? So I would submit that to be able to do that, if one is able to tackle corruption, because what happens is corruption fundamentally erodes a sense of fairness, besides sort of leakage of resources and rent seeking. It also fundamentally erodes people's confidence in the system. Mm-hmm. And so people don't want to actually make the efforts that they would, if they feel that they can control their fate, they have a sense of confidence in their fate, that fair effort will produce fair outcome, then they are prepared to work hard. But if they feel that fair effort will not produce a fair outcome, because corruption will get whatever that they do, they don't work that hard. So if you are asking somebody to kind of go lift themselves out from poverty, I think that's the most sustainable way to do it. I've never seen any operational plan in a company succeed just from a top-down mandate. You have to have a top-down mandate, certainly, vision, but it has to also be bottoms up, where everybody at the grassroots is bought into that whole process and is willing to work diligently towards that, and is understanding and appreciative, bought into the vision. So here, when we as a nation make these statements of anti-corruption, but they're not backed up by ground level action, then the average person doesn't feel that they can, that this is something that is realizable. And consequently, poverty continues to so the mountain continues to be there. So we can't keep tackling the mountain by taking little pot shots at it and stuff like that with scheme A, scheme B type of a thing. We have to tackle this thing at the regional office level, each taluka level, each village level, and create this sort of thing, awareness that, how can we become a society that is not corrupt, that this is not something that is acceptable. If we want to sort of go back to our higher principles from age immemorial, that is probably truthful living. Gandhiji said it, truthful living. The stories we read in Ramayana say it. We all know the stories, we know what needs to be done, but we need to start doing it at the ground level. If we can do that, and every one of us then becomes confident that fair effort will produce fair outcome, the country can lift itself out of some of these poverty alleviation things, can really take root. So those would be the hills all across every village, every town, every city, every state, and ultimately the country that we have to tackle.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I would also agree with it. We have a vision. The mountain is there. Fortunately, the Himalayas are there. The Vedic lifestyle, the Ramayanas and Mahabharatas are there. But today's life is far, 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 far away from what we read in the ancient scriptures. So from my point of view, we have to address basically three deficits. There's three fundamental deficits the way our country has been running for the last 75 years. The first deficit I call, many of you heard me talk about it before, is I call the nutrition deficit. Our nutrition level, physical nutrition, intellectual, spiritual nutrition, has not kept up with what we need to. 9 out of 100 children get the right nutrition in our country. That's a physical nutrition. Intellectual nutrition is not happening at the rural levels. Top 10% get the nutrition, but often to become more westernized as opposed to being problem solvers. And spiritual nutrition is, to me, exactly what Amar was talking about. We have the stories, but somehow morally, ethically, we have become corrupt. So that's one nutrition. Second nutrition, I connect with the first. The deficit that we have to address is what I call the trade deficit. It is a shame, a country with 1.4 billion people where the wage rates are very low. India from 1950 till today has suffered negative trade balance. That means we buy more than we sell. When people are cheaper because we are poor, at least as China has done, Japan did, Korea did, Singapore did, Malaysia has done, we should be able to export. So I have often promoted, which again, Amar, you touched on, one village, one product. Now, we may not be able to do at the village level, let's call it one district. There are 740 districts, but every district should be given the responsibility to develop one product, one service, one player, one performer who would shine on the global stage. Maybe a soccer player, as we see from Nigeria. But they have to also see runners from Kenya and Ethiopia. So one district should be able to be guided to develop something globally. So we done two things. We are making every citizen become conscious of the global and giving the confidence, yes, I belong. And that would also serve the nutrition and solve the trade balance. Japan did it. They used to call one village, one product. I'm saying let's call it one district, one product. And every big company should be given the responsibility to own 3 or 4 districts. So the top 100 companies take 7 districts each, and they have to report it, how they're helping the district to find a product, find a service, find a soccer player, find a singer, find a dancer who would shine on the global stage. That way we are building the brand. That's the second deficit. And the third deficit is very important, and we talk about it, and I'm so glad you and I should meet very soon, is the human and nature relationship deficit. The country is beautiful, but the way we are destroying the forests, the way we are destroying the rivers, the way we are destroying the lakes, the way we are destroying the soil is unacceptable. And Vedic philosophy's fundamental point is harmony with nature. Harmony with nature, we have broken that. So that also have to be done at the village level and move towards I would call the zero rule, which is zero corruption, zero pollution, and zero wastage. We cannot afford zero wastage, and I include time. We do not honor time, preciousness of time. That's the biggest gift God gives us, and we treat time as if it's no one's business. We start meetings late, we keep people waiting, but we are always in a rush. The point Narayan Murthy and I were discussing last time, when you have to get out of the plane. That's the time we speed up. Otherwise, we are always relaxed. So I think if we can do that, 3 deficits, I think we will create a country in which we will all be powerful, and it would be, like John F. Kennedy used to say, first man on the moon. I think we have to say the dignity of labor, dignity of the people at the base of the pyramid. That's it.
Thank you, sir. So Professor Madhusudan Chaturthi has some question. And after that, Dr. Satyaprasad, please ask a question. Yeah.
No,
Sir.
actually, I've been hearing both Amar and Partha. I just wanted to tell you that our Prime Minister has given a call, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Basically, he said prosperity for all. So I thought this is an opportunity to ask Partha to explain his concept of cellularism in achieving sabka saath sabka vikas. Basically, what Amar was saying, district level, city level, basically these are the things he's talking about, different cells. So since Partha has been advocating the concept of cellularism and central economic nervous system, could you please talk about the sabka saath sabka vikas through cellularism?
Very good. Madhu, thank you very much. And I think Amar and I would agree that, and I'm so glad, I mean, we did not compare notes what we'll discuss, but we have resonated with each other beautifully as if we have been practicing music for last 50 years, Amar. But only common denominator, I'm also a chemical engineer. So chemical engineers know the process of diffusion and absorption and distillation and filtration very well. So
Say that heat and mass transfer are at the root of most phenomena.
absolutely, and that red book that we have studied, the Lightfoot Wood, the transport phenomena always drives our thinking. Now, having said that, Madhu, I think the cellularism is a concept which came to my mind about 20 years ago. Again, thanks to Japan. Because when I started visiting small Japanese towns, very small towns, I was amazed, very simple people, but the products and services they're developing, they shine all over the world. And I say, India has got so much of heritage, so much of history. Each village, some villages are 5,000 years old, but they remain as villages of the past. How to modernize the villages, but the villages must stay there because as soon as someone succeeds, he goes out, that village remains the same. So that is to me cellularism, how to respect that cell, which is the village, build products, services, which shine all over the world, and the best people would stay there. Now, today it is possible because one of the challenges India faced over time is that we were never able to express ourselves in mother tongue. Because earlier we were ruled by the Mughals, so either you have to speak Persian or Arabic to belong, then you have to speak English to belong. But if I know only my mother tongue and I'm living in Kerala or I'm living in Tamil Nadu or in Bengal, I don't belong because I don't know the language of the rulers. Now, a country where people cannot express and do not feel proud in their own mother tongue, it's very difficult to develop that country. In Japan, I met half of the people who have built global brand names, but they don't speak a word of English, and they're very proud. They speak in Japanese. So, cellularism also means appreciate the local culture, and we can do that because we use the power of AI. If one technology we have to use, the artificial intelligence. So when I speak in Bengali to Amar, who's speaking in Punjabi, I'll speak in Bengali, but Amar would hear me in Punjabi and vice versa. And we have to develop that technology very rapidly so that every villager feels he belongs and he can talk to another villager 5,000 miles away, or maybe not 2,000 miles away. So that is to me cellularism. And that leads to the point of central economic nervous system, which is again goes back, it's like a brain which provides the guidance, but each nerve is the nerve cell in each village. And when we have that connectivity between the village and Delhi, if Delhi is the brain power or any city is a brain power, that ability should be very dynamic, it should flow, ideas should flow, concept should flow back and forth, and in the process we'll create what I would call the new country.
Shalendra, I would like to remind you, our question
Yes.
and answer session is 20 minutes.
Yes, so 5 more minutes, I think so. So,
Okay.
Dr. Satya Prasad, if you are there, you can ask question or read. So, are you there, sir?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. It was nice hearing to Professor Amar and Professor Partha Ghosh, and it was really informative. My question to Professor Partha Ghosh is that what's your opinion on institutional ego? Because you were talking about the ego. When the ego goes down, then the knowledge goes up. So here I am addressing the institutional ego. Is it good or bad? And what do you think its role in the expansion of an institution or a sector or whatever it is? Like,
Very good question. I'm glad you raised this. I think ego has just two components, positive ego and the negative ego. The positive ego is, to me, having a sense of pride that I'm building an institution which should be the best in the world, and then not just say best in the world, find out what are the specific things. It could be the cleanliness of the toilet, it could be the cleanliness of the floor, the cleanliness of the classroom, in addition, how the professors or the faculty teach in an institution or in a company, that we are focused on drawing pride, which is positive. But the negative ego is where we feel we are good, we are arrogant, we are the best, we don't have anything to learn. That obviously is a formula of demise for that organization. So I think in India, I'm glad you raised this question. One of the things I notice in India, it is the second kind is more evident compared to the first kind. There may be some differences, but typically, I think the way the bureaucratic structure have worked, and some of them have been legacy systems which came from the British, that is hierarchical, bureaucratic, for everything you need a stamp, has created institutional silos and egos, uh, which is perhaps acting as a negative factor in the development of our nation. Because, we should be loose. We are problem solvers. We are brothers and sisters. We should just solve problems and enjoy it. And unfortunately, that is not happening.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I think one last question has been posted. So is the time, sir? Yes.
Yeah, you are in time. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Are great. And now I have to introduce to you an eminent person, Commander Jetli. He is a graduate of IITKharagpur, bachelor's as well as master's, and a great man. He has done so many things in his life, but I'll mention just a few. He is a board member of IIT Bhubaneswar. He is a founder member of Pan IIT India. He is ex-president of IIT Kharagpur Alumni Foundation. He is chairman of his consultancy, CQ. He is a management consultant, corporate training, motivational speaker, author, and my very good friend. He will give closing remarks of this great event. And Virendra, you have 5 minutes.
Sir, thank you very much. First of all, let me convey my sincere thanks to Purandangji for conducting this session beautifully. Thanks to Professor Varshney, who conducted the question and answer session. And of course, the two speakers of the day, Amar and Partha. Both were really great. I am really indebted to both of you, the way you explained various concepts, starting from, what is leadership and all that. I really liked the way Mr. Amar explained. Like leadership is like a vision, and then communicating it. Because communicating the leadership, if you are not able to communicate the vision, of course, then you are not a good leader. And of course, his concept of IQ has to be balanced with EQ also. I really liked it very much, sir. And then when you talked about the failures, I really am reminded that failure is a part of life. It happens everywhere. So one doesn't have to be, concerned about the failures and how you actually face those failures and you overcame those failures. That was really great. And the only thing which I can add to that is failure is a part of life. It is only the fear of failure that brings the problem in the corporations or the organization. The fear of failure, because the fear of failure that makes you stagnant. In addition to that, I really appreciated that both of you, your heart beats for India. I could, listen your heartbeat, that it was really beating for India. The amount of thinking both of you are doing, how India can again become the Vishwa Guru. And the concept which Partha gave, the so-called what we call Akhanda Bharat. That means even today it can become a federation of so many countries. Let them be independent, each one of them. Probably that again it cannot become such a great country, but yes, it can become a borderless country, like some federation of countries with open borders, like European Union is there. I'm sure someday the humanity will bring this harmony, and this will happen. I've got also sincere hope to that. And when Amarji said in the next birth, he wants to be revolutionary, I really appreciate that, sir. And your concern for the sustainability of this planet, that even those who do not have the voice to raise their opinion, the wildlife and all that, we should not be exploiting this planet so much as we have done till today. So your concern, Partho's concern for this planet, I tell you, my hats off to you, my salute to you. The whole session was really great. Thank you very much, sir. So nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, before I give the request to Professor Tilok Singh for the vote of thanks, I want to say 2 words. Ladies and gentlemen, and our speaker, it has been a great program with 2 very eminent leaders. I really enjoyed it very much, and I am sure their wisdom in 1 hour, I think it is a work of years and years and years. The Partha Ghosh Leadership Academy, founded and funded by Dr. Partha Ghosh, is like a blessed rain falling on the campus of IITKharagpur and will send waves of knowledge and leadership around the world. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for your wonderful life, for your very spiritual life and your wisdom. Shakespeare wrote, "Hope springs eternal in the human breast." Let's hope the best for the academy, because this academy can become a world force and become a fountain of wisdom. There was a great poet, Shelley, who said, "We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sweetest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those which tell us of saddest thought." Our sweetest songs are, "Our country is great. It's a country which has thousands of civilization years and a great past and will be a great future." But our saddest part is that, as Amar said and Partho said, that there are people at the bottom of the pyramid. I think that is the saddest part. So we hope that our country will go forward. And thank you, Amar, and thank you, Partho. Now I request our Professor Trilok Singh to give a vote of thanks. 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Puran sir. So yeah, on behalf of Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership, IIT Kharagpur, and on my personal behalf, I would like to thank Dr. Amarprit Sahni ji for accepting our invitation to be the international speakers for this event. As your invention has already impacted millions of lives around the globe, and after today's discussion with Professor Ghosh, I believe that our young minds will get motivated to take extra mileage, extra risk to get new innovation and to come out from the comfort zone. And I would also like to thank Dr. Ghosh for motivating us, for encouraging us, for encouraging the Partha Ghosh Academy of Leadership, IIT Kharagpur, and he's always available to motivate us. And I would also like to thank today's moderator, Purandang sir, for moderating today's session. And at the end, I would like to thank all the participants who have joined us from all over the globe to make this event successful. Thank you very much and have a great day. Good evening and good night, all of you.
And
I want,
Thila,
I,
I'd like to
I
thank-
want to say to Professor Acharya, former director of IIT Kharagpur and our great friend, thank you for attending. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
and I'd like to thank Jetli Ji for a wonderful summary, Jetli.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you, sir.
It was full of creativity.
Jetli ji is always great.
Nice, sir.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
much, sir.
So
Thank you.
still there are few questions on the chat box. If there is a time, maybe
Continue. I don't have any. We can continue. Amar,
Five-
how about you?
5-10 minutes.
लगा दो फिर।
Yeah, I could probably take one or two questions. I do have to
Also,
be.
I'd like to lead. Thank you very much. I just wanted to add, Partha and Amar, you are chemical engineers. I am not far off. I am a metallurgist, material scientist. And while teaching solidification processing, I have to deal with cells. So cellularism is also very close to me. So that's why I have looked at it. Okay. Thank you very much. Please
So
allow me
this-
to lead. Thank you very much.
There's a few questions me like about from the Harsh. It is how can we develop self-sustainable development policy on India, and how can we make India a global leader in sustainability and become a role model on Earth or globe? Second is about the role of academics to make India number one. And third question is what type of challenges, if any, did you face in raising your families outside India? That's a question to both of you. On lighter side, I think it's a lighter note side, the question. So that's, if you like to reply on this, I just had both the questions to you. So, sir.
Briefly
With
respond.
your permission, I can take the first two.
Sure.
You can reflect, or you want to go first?
Mine will be fairly brief comments. I think, role academics, I think a couple of things has to be maybe looked at. Right now, academics in India oftentimes translates to book knowledge. And I think we need to sort of go towards knowledge wherein people are not afraid to experiment and sort of learn by experiential type of learning. So I think that we need to sort of work towards that. So, and the second thing that academics can do is to help people develop their own self-confidence. Once people have their self-confidence that they have the skills to make a living, they are less likely to feel that, be swayed by things like corruption. Corruption comes about when you don't feel confident. You think that you've gotten 3-4 years to sock away as much money as you can, and who knows what post comes next. But if you fundamentally are confident that you will be able to make a living, you have the resources from your mental, your education, and it's not who you know, but what you know, that is really matters. And the system will be supportive. When that kind of a thing comes about, I think academia needs to sort of give people that, academics need to give people that sense of confidence that the toolkit that they are going out with is a meaningful one that can allow them to sort of continue to make a living and then take charge of their life. Don't wait for somebody to hand you a job. I realized I did that myself. I applied to 30 places, got 30 rejections, and ultimately created my own job by the technology. So I think if academia can do that role, I think that would be great. And I think from the standpoint for the country, etc., also that is probably what's needed. From a personal sense, in answering the question of any challenges of raising my children, actually, this country has been great. I can't complain. The US has been, we have encountered a lot of support, a lot of, it's given me things that, I just marvel that how does somebody actually have the confidence to give. I was a 28-year-old kid coming out and people were giving me a few $1 million to kind of start a company. Who does that kind of a thing, right? So I think from the standpoint of raising my children are 6. My son actually has a full beard. He's a freshman at MIT right now. and stuff. A very supportive environment there and very supportive throughout the schooling. So we actually, unfortunately or fortunately, didn't encounter many challenges. Apart from the fact that, you know, I would have wished them to continue to the new Punjabi reading and writing when they were young. It was hard to sustain that over time. But apart from that, we have not. We've had a very, very privileged life. Very, very fortunate. And which is not to say that that's everybody's experience, but I, for one, have been extremely fortunate.
Thank you, sir. Partha, I would like to add on.
Yeah. I think firstly on the Amar's answer, it would be same as mine. So the messages are same. You know, this country, and I grew up in many countries. Actually, I spent a lot of my time in Japan and Germany, in addition to the United States. I think everywhere I've been, I've got a lot of affection, support, coaching, love, and in the process, I contributed. But I want to go back to the first two questions, which is very dear to my heart. What can we do to position India on the global stage? I think it goes back to addressing those three deficits. And if you have to solve one deficit, I would like to see India nutrition. If I have to really choose one deficit, I feel physically, mentally, spiritually, we have to be stronger. You know, Amar talked about self-confidence, dealing with adversity, continuing to, that is spiritual nutrition. The intellectual nutrition, Amar talked about research, a desire to explore the unknown. Even if I don't, and that's what Zuckerberg did, that's what Elon Musk did, that was Thomas Edison did, and they didn't, Thomas Edison did not finish high school, but he created 1,350 patents. So I think that if we can solve those nutrition, physical, intellectual, spiritual, other things will follow. But we have to be very honest about it, that we have a long way to go, and village by village, we have to serve that nutrition. It should be nothing, forget everything else. We don't have to build big airports and big highways. I think we are going a bit on the wrong direction. We have to focus on what the bottom 80% needs, as opposed to the top 10% needs. Yeah, they need planes, they will travel, but let's go through a little bit of struggle when we go to the airport. But let it make it more comfortable for the people who are in the villages. The other point was what we can do to position India on the global stage. Now, if we do that nutrition and we connect with the one village, one product, or one district, one product, which is global. If it is from Lucknow, we have to find something from Lucknow area which we could truly take it to the global with quality and adopt the total quality circle approaches. So it really shines in Champs-Élysées or Fifth Avenue or in Kensington Gardens. We have to keep that in mind. In that environment, we are competing with products coming from Japan, China, Vietnam. We have to think from that angle. Similarly, I want to see soccer players coming out of India. Let them play in the villages of India, but they will be playing for Chelsea. They will be playing for Manchester United. And then we will create our own teams. But we are focused more on creating teams, but not creating players, because that creates money. That Ambani has got a team. I don't know, all the film actors and actresses have teams. They're playing cricket in the night, having fun, but we are not working on creating players. So I think there are a lot of things we have to reset. But it's a very simple reset, which could bring a fundamental change. And I think that correction is required in our country. And hopefully academy, Professor Varshney under leadership can provide that guidance. That's the role of the academy.
Sir, thank you, sir. So I think Dr. Sahni is also have to leave, as been told to us. So I think we stop here, and I have to thank Dr. Amar Sahni ji once again, and Partha and Puran ji for thank you very much. And so for the next talk, I think we'll be announcing soon. Let us just keep visiting us, and we'll keep sending the emails and the messages through the email as well as the website. Thank you.
Permanent member of this team.
Yeah.
to justify your name. given by your parents, your Amar presence in the team would be very important.
Sure, sure, sir.
Thank you. My privilege.
Thank you. Thank you, Amar.